Good morning, everybody. Can you hear? Good morning. Can you hear me? I want to welcome everybody to the spring 2015 Convocation. We're in for an exciting year. I don't know how many of you have been around for the past week or so, but we've been in the newspaper a lot lately, but all for good reasons. I want to start off by thanking all of you. It's your dedication, it's your hard work, it's your commitment to our mission of empowering students and strengthening community that have gotten us through what was both one of our toughest years, but turned out to be one of our best years for calendar year 2014. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the successes that we had last year. Then we're going to move on into the program, do some updates. There are some chairs around the side for those of you who would like to go ahead and get seated. Towards the end of the morning, we're going to play a game, so leave the materials in the middle of your table alone if you haven't been warned already. We're going to encourage everybody to pull up to a table when we get to that part at the end, but we are going to be playing a game a little bit. All right, let's go through, and I'll give you just a little bit of an update. For those of you who didn't see the newspaper article about it, the state auditor did release the results of the special examination that we underwent this past year, looking at a lot of claims against the college, and we were found to have been in compliance with all the things we should have been doing, and therefore there was no mismanagement of funds, and we did not violate any processes, any policies of the college. That was great news. I want to go a little bit out of order from what my presentation here is, and I want everybody who works in financial services and accounting to stand up. There's a whole table back there. Stand up. Come on, come on. All these people had to do a lot of extra work over the past year. As some of you know, when we get to the question and answer session, there'll probably be some questions about it. We had some documents that were missing, and we had to recreate all those documents. Most of them were in different systems because when we pay a check, they're with accounts payable or they're with a P card with a P card report, but they had all been in folders that disappeared. And we were able to recreate, if I remember correctly, 640 out of 641 requested invoices. And the people that just stood up put in a lot of extra time and a lot of extra work to do not only their everyday job, but to help us get through this examination. So my deepest thanks to all of you for what you did. Enrollment update. We're still a little bit down compared to last fall. Compared to last spring, but it's gotten better since the break. We anticipate that we're going to be down slightly. I'm going to switch here. Okay. So we anticipate we're probably going to be down 5 or 7% in student credit hours this semester. That's not unlike our other sister institutions around the state. In fact, some have been down as much as 20% over the past year. The economy is getting better. I guess our hope right now is that President Obama's initiative to get everybody free community college education happens, because I think we would see some enrollment go back up, but we'll see how that works over time. I want to recognize the foundation. I want Deborah Bolt, Kelly Smith, if she's here, and Linda Castle to stand up. Where are you? We had a record-breaking year in fundraising. In fact, it's almost $1.8 million. It may be past that now. We've never raised in the foundation more than about $800,000, and usually it's between around $500,000 or $600,000. But last year, our annual appeal, all the work that was done throughout the year, we got almost $1.8 million. Much of that is earmarked for specific programs, but you know what? We can use it all. Most of it's going to go to scholarships, but there is some that came through an endowment that you're going to hear about related to early childhood, and we're going to be getting a press release out and talking about it at the board meeting next week. Which reminds me, I want to recognize our two board members that are here, Linda Siegel and Martha Romero. I don't believe I missed anybody this morning. Okay. All right. We have a legislative session that starts next Tuesday. It's a 60-day session this year. We're going to talk a little bit about some of our requests later on. With the price of oil being so low, it's been great for us at the pump. I had to fill up yesterday just to do it because it dropped to the $1.50 something. And I said, I got to fill up with $1.50 gas. But it's not good for the state budget. And so there's going to be, even though they're still estimating about $140 million new dollars that could be allocated around the state, I think that's probably going to go down before they actually finish a budget. So the odds of getting new money from this state are pretty minimal this year, but we're still going to be down there fighting for a variety of new sources, and we'll keep you posted on the legislative session as it moves forward. We do have an election for governing board members on February the 3rd. We're doing an election this year, a joint election with the Santa Fe Public Schools. So we're having our election about a month earlier than normal, but we're going to share the cost of that. We will be having an early voting site here on campus starting, I think, next week maybe. Is Donna here to tell me? January 14th through... So January 14th through January 30th, you can actually vote here on campus in room 209. So it's one of the early voting sites, or you can vote on election day at the regular polls. Okay. Exciting news, the Higher Education Center actually opens today. Our grand opening is Wednesday afternoon. We've been getting a lot of publicity for that one. If you haven't been over there, I want to encourage all of you to try to come Wednesday afternoon at 1 o'clock. We're going to have entertainment, the usual speeches, tours, a little bit of food, some snacks. But I'm going to encourage those of you who come from the campus to carpool. If the weather holds up, and I know it's kind of iffy right now, we expect a pretty big crowd. So we're going to ask those of you who come from the campus to carpool to save some parking spaces. And then we're also going to encourage those of us who work here to park at the parking area for the screen, which is just past our education center, and leave the parking lot in front of the building for our special guest. But it's going to be an exciting day. It looks great. The furniture's all in. At least one of our partners starts classes today. Highland starts classes today. And who else starts today, Rebecca? UNM? UNM, okay. So it's going to get broken in a little bit and this week, and then we'll start next week full force over there. So it's a great facility, and I think everybody will be happy to see that. If you remember last year, Microsoft Office made their Office suite available to students. Effective, we think, February 9th, it's now going to be available for faculty and staff. So it's going to be free as long as you're an employee of the college. Our OIT office is going to send out an email regarding the details in the near future. And we're also going to encourage everybody to attend the Microsoft 2010-2013 Office Transition Training that we're going to be doing next month. And I believe you can actually have the software on up to 4 or 5 devices. Am I correct on that? Okay. 4? 5. 5 devices. So if you've got a laptop, a desktop, a tablet, whatever else, you can have it on up to cell phone, you can have it on up to 5 devices. So that's great. Also, over the break, we upgraded our internet bandwidth, not only for here, but for the connection to the Higher Education Center. And basically, we've quadrupled it from 150 megabytes per second to 600. So we think, for those of you who've had issues in classrooms, especially for faculty, and we'll tell the adjunct faculty about this on Thursday, hopefully we won't see any challenges. This should take care of that. So we've quadrupled our internet bandwidth. And if you do, though, have any issues with that, please be sure and call the OIT help desk at 1222. Also, starting this week, on Thursday, we're going to be doing some HR human resource training. It's mandatory for everybody to go to training sometime this spring. Now, those of you who can go on Thursday, that'd be great. I believe it's at 9 o'clock on Thursday, and it's in this room, correct? We have a lot of new policies, updated policies. We've got a lot of expectations, but we've got a lot of questions. The same questions keep being asked over and over again by faculty and staff, so we want to address those. For those who can't come this Thursday, because we're keeping a lot of offices open for a variety of reasons, registering students, we are going to schedule some more of these. So it is mandatory for everybody to attend one of these HR training sessions this spring. The ones this Thursday are especially geared for faculty before the semester gets started, but those of you who could come should also come in for those. Okay. All right. Kind of broke a little ground already here. We want to recognize a few people for some of their contributions and for their excellent work. First person I want to recognize is Andrew Kerr. He's been improving the interior design and architecture curriculum with the goal of creating more pathways for students, and he's been using data to do that. So is Andrew here this morning? There he is, right here. Thank you, Andrew. I want to recognize the work done by the administrative assistants in the instructional areas for streamlining and improving the IDEA evaluation process. For those of you who don't teach, the IDEA is the process we go through for students' evaluations of their courses. So I think we've made a lot of improvements over implementing that, getting the reports back to the faculty so they can use it. So I want to thank the administrative assistants in the instructional areas for their work on that. I wanted to recognize Monica Nair. She couldn't be here this morning, but for her work in program development, mentoring of faculty, and leadership in the areas of engineering, professional studies, and building trades. She's done a lot of work this past year in those areas, and so when you see her, she couldn't be here today. Please thank her for all the hard work she has done. I already recognized the financial services staff, so I won't make you stand up again because I know you wouldn't. I also want to recognize the Office of Information Technology. They've been creating a process to manage projects that are saving the college money, time, and allowing us to do our jobs better. And they've done a lot of work on those. Some of those projects that they manage are really big projects that impact the whole organization. Some are big projects, and for most of us, they happen behind the scenes, and we don't really see what goes on. But I'd like for all of the staff of the Office of Information Technology to stand up and be recognized. I must say they've been doing double duty the last couple of weeks, because when I come to here, I see them here doing work. I go over to the Higher Education Center, and I see them over there doing work. And I keep wondering how they get back and forth so fast. But thank you for getting that set up. I think, do we have a transporting system to get us from here? I also want to recognize Pierre Quintana for her leadership and work in the graduation task force. Is Pierre here this morning? And I want to recognize Reina Varela. Reina, you do a great job. You're dedicated to your work. You have a can-do attitude, and your leadership as the lead custodian. Reina's the back of the room here. And the other care, Uta Jansen Care. Where is Uta? She's over here. I want to recognize Uta. Uta's been using data to look for ways to improve and be innovative in the Fitness Education Center. And they've been doing a lot of really creative things over there, bringing some money in, raising funds for scholarships and other events. And I want to thank you for that work. Now, before we go into the next thing, I want to, we didn't do a slide on this, but I want anybody who is brand new, who wasn't here to be introduced at Convocation in the fall, to stand up, and we were going to go around the room and introduce our new employees. So all the new employees stand up, and if anybody's at your table and they're not standing up, make them stand up. We'll start with Brian.
I'm Brian Duboff. I'm the new director of the Small Business Development Center, and I'll be around for a few weeks, and then I'll be up at the Higher Ed Center in our new office.
Great. Welcome. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dexter, and I'm working for the Red Dot Gallery as an assistant under Clark.
Nick.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nick Tejas. I'm the new Vice President for Finance and Chief Financial Officer.
Great.
My name's Ed Ashby. I'm an adjunct teacher in the adult education department.
Welcome. Did I miss anybody? All right, back there, yes. Great, welcome. Anybody else? All right, well, thank you and welcome, everybody. Nick, come on up. We're going to have Nick do a little bit of an update on our finances, where we are, talk a little bit about audits, and then he and I are going to spend a little time taking questions from the audience. So if you got questions related to really anything, but especially finances, we'll take answers to those questions after Nick's short presentation.
Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Nick Tejas, and I'm happy, very honored to be with all of you and part of this wonderful institution with all the unique things going on here and very positive things. I'm just very excited about being a part of all of it. So with that, I'll go ahead and move on. I wanted to just sort of prepare a brief snapshot at where we are financially. Kind of want to give you a glimpse at where we've been, where we are, and maybe where we're moving forward. As President Grissom discussed earlier, we have had some positive things happen with our audit recently. This chart before you kind of explains where we were in 2012 in terms of audit issues. The high-level numbers there, the 21, 10, and 8 are basically all our audit findings. In 2012, we had 21 audit findings. In FY13, 10, and the most recent 8. So there's been a lot of vast improvement in the financial reporting area of the college. And the different colors there in the bar graphs, they show the orange signifies other matters. That more orange color or yellow color is significant deficiencies, and the green is material weaknesses. The difference between all those things are ultimately the green area material deficiencies are sort of well, they're definitely more important in terms of financial issues. They need more attention in correcting those issues. And so you can see there's been some pretty marked improvement in that area over the last couple of years. This is no easy feat to achieve. When you're moving from 21 audit findings to 8, it takes a lot of effort. And so I too have to commend the finance department for being able to do that in such a short period of time. Next slide is the budget in terms of instruction in general, unrestricted dollars. I'll draw your eyes down to a couple of important parts of this chart. This number down here, negative 10% and 42%. Just want to keep your eyes there. The 42% at the top of the chart represents where we are in the year. We've basically had, at November, 42% of the year complete. The 10% at the bottom shows the decrease in expenditures due to the president's financial stabilization plan. And so you'll see between 2014 and 2015, we've moved from about a $35 million budget to a $32 million budget, about $3.5 million in decreases, budgetary decreases. And you'll notice that the majority of where those budget decreases were made were right here under institutional and plant operations. I think that was the effort to avoid any decreases to the important instruction area of the budget. So with 42% of the year complete, you'll notice that in instruction and academic support, student services, institutional support, we're about right in the vicinity of where we should be. 46% complete in terms of instruction, 38, 42, 46, and 46. So long story short, we are where we're supposed to be with the budget. And so that's a good indicator of a positive situation for the college. As we move forward, we are already going to be developing our budget for the upcoming fiscal year 2015-2016. And we intend to present initial budget priority recommendations to the governing board this month. The president, you probably have heard President Grissom state that his top priority is restoring salaries that were reduced during the financial challenges that the college faced recently. Equally important is really growing the cash balances to healthy levels. And we also have potential new program expansion with a legislative request of $500,000 for this fiscal year. And that would be for the radiography program, auto body, and automobile programs. That is a legislative request, and we hope that we can achieve that funding in order to do some more things here at the college. With that said, ultimately the budget's going to be pretty flat, and so we're still monitoring things very closely within the finance department, checking for cash balances on a daily and weekly situation. We've also developed with the governing board a team-based budgeting oversight process where we try to get more transparency and essentially more buy-in with shared governance when we develop the budget. And so we have Team 5 is really the oversight team, and it has to do with budget overview and reviewing cash balances. Team 1 is ING revenues. Team 2 is ING expenditures. Team 3 reviews all of the issues related to the exhibits. And Team 4 deals with capital issues. And on each one of those teams, they're made up really of 2 board members, 1 faculty representative, a staff representative, and key executive staff that are determined by the governing board. If there are some subcommittees that are identified, any interested party can serve on those subcommittees. So we're trying to get as much oversight and buy-in and transparency on the budget process in order to maintain a more healthy development of our budget. So with that, I think that's all I have, if President Grissom doesn't have anything else to add on here.
So what we're going to do now is take questions, and it can be for either one of us, and we'll go around the room. Sheila, you got a question?
What are the exhibits? What does that mean, exhibits?
So let me explain to you. When we report to the Higher Education Department of the Legislature, there's a variety of exhibits. So Exhibit 10 is instruction. Exhibit 11 is academic support. Exhibit 12 is student support. Exhibit 13 is institutional support, which is really mostly the management group. 14 is plant. 15 is public service. Am I right? So I'm not going to assign the numbers, but the other ones are capital outlay, OIT, public service, institutional support, things like motor pool, the things that get allocated to the other areas. And so it's by exhibit, we track both our expenditures and in some cases our revenues. And so the biggest portion of our budget, and the thing that really applies to what we do, is primarily the I&G portion of the budget. And so that's really exhibits 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So they're all in these two areas here. Okay. I&G is instruction and general, which is basically the operating budget for the college. Outside of that is our plant funds, like I said, our OIT budget, our public service budgets. What am I leaving out? Seems like there's debt service, those kind of things are all in the other budgets outside. Now they do impact those other exhibits, or in the case of OIT, motor pool, copy center, those kind of things, they get allocated to exhibits 10 through 14 for budget tracking purposes. But really, instruction in general. If you hear us say ING, it's our acronym, but it's instruction in general. So it's basically operating expenditures for what we do as a college. Okay. Other questions, comments? Yeah.
Last semester, you had mentioned that there might be monies available for faculty development to go to attend conferences and whatnot. Is that likely?
The good news is that the foundation has raised enough money that we've set aside $30,000 for professional development activities for faculty and staff. We're working on some processes right now to have people apply for those kind of funds. So the answer is, I'm hoping we're going to send some people to conferences this spring that we didn't think we were going to do, and it's because of the hard work of the foundation. We had challenged them to try to raise some money for that. We raised enough money, even though it wasn't earmarked necessarily for that. We're putting it towards that. So that's great, great news. We're going to be coming out with some processes that we're probably going to run through the shared governance a little bit. We want to figure out how we can, spread the use of those funds around campus, and then, people who get to use them this year probably won't get to use them next year. But we're hoping this will be an annual event. Other questions? There's got to be more questions than that. I can't believe it. Zuby. So the question is, what programs might be available if President Obama's program comes through? I don't know for sure. I do know from what I've read that it's transfer programs. So if students came here for the first 2 years before and to transfer to a four-year school, it appears that those would be in there. The rest of them, I think, are still unclear, but I'm pretty sure healthcare programs, most of the trades and technology programs that we have, I'm anticipating would fit. They want to really link things, the programs that they're going to fund, to the jobs that are either there or are needed. And so we're excited about it. The odds of this getting funded in Washington these days is pretty minimal, but at least the conversation has started. I think it would be great for New Mexico, because my personal opinion, it might help salvage our challenges with the lottery scholarship funds. If the feds picked up 3/4 of the tuition and the state had to pick up 1/4, it could come out of the lottery scholarships. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. Maybe some version of it will work, if not right away, over time. But That's the way I understand it. I think it's very similar to what we're looking at right now in terms of the state funding formula and the fact that the STEM and healthcare related programs are getting extra funding through the state performance-based formula. I'm pretty sure that's where some of that effort would be. Ray? You know, my understanding is the question, you know, who are these funds for? I think more details of the proposal are supposed to be coming out today. I haven't seen anything that says it's limited, like our lottery scholarship is limited to people coming straight out of high school. The best news to me is that it also included part-time students, those taking 6 hours or more. And we know that's a lot of our students, and that really meets the needs. And we're going to talk about achieving the dream and equity and equality here in a little bit, but to me, that kind of fits that mode. So another question back here. No? Yeah, Clark?
On faculty's behalf, can you speak in some detail about the timeline or needs to restoring salaries in terms of this current year?
I don't think there's any way we're going to be able to restore salaries this fiscal year. I'm very optimistic that we're going to be able to restore salaries next year, so starting July 1st. Right now, we've got to go through the whole budget process. I'm hoping that the number one priority is restoring them fully, but we got to have enough funds to do so. Just to remind you, we've also got to have enough funds, and Nick talked about this a little bit. We need to have enough money in the bank at the end of June to carry us to December. And we know we can't build up to the ideal ending cash balance and ending fund balance in 1 year. It's going to take several years to get there. The board adopted a financial improvement plan at the December board meeting, and our goal is to increase that cash balance at the end of this year by at least $500,000, at the end of next year by $750,000. And there's a variety of ways that we can do that. But if we don't have those extra funds, we can't make it that 6 months from June to December between our disbursements of our property taxes. Just to remind everybody, this year, 47% of the revenues that we're operating on came from our local property taxes. About 22% of our revenues came from students via tuition and fees, that's credit and non-credit. And then 30% came from the state. And we had 1% that's in the other category, mostly comes from indirect fees that we earn on grants. So we have a huge portion of our budget that's dependent upon not only the property taxes, but our students. The good news is things are looking good for property taxes next year. We're seeing a lot of growth in Santa Fe, a lot of new construction in Santa Fe. And so, you know, we aren't going to know what that looks like until August. That's our challenge. We have to put together a budget for next year without knowing what our property taxes look like for next year. So we're going to be presenting a budget framework to our board at the January 20th meeting. We're going to present it to the Finance Committee, I think it's later this week. That we're going to recommend that we're going to assume flat funding from property taxes, no change. So if we just budget based upon that and we get more, that more would go to the bottom line, hopefully. So we're going to see what we can do in those respects. You know, it's a challenge, but we've got to have enough money in the bank to pay our bills between June and December. And until we get that balance up to a big enough number, we're always going to be challenged, especially in November and early December, having the cash to pay all of our bills. There's some mechanisms out there to help us with that next year. We're going to certainly end this year with a lot more cash than we ended last year. So the plan is, the number one priority is restore salaries. Can't tell you that they're going to get restored 100% at this point in time because I don't know what that is at this point in time. We're still just going into the budget cycle. The draft report that came out of the Legislative Finance Committee right now, and who knows what budget will be passed, but we have about $363,000 new dollars, if I remember correctly, in there for next year from the state. That's good news. But it's not, that's not a huge amount of money. We need about $1.3 million, if I remember correctly, to fully restore all salaries. Now, that doesn't mean we have to have new dollars to restore all salaries, but we do need to have some new dollars in order to do that. Okay. That answer that, Clark? Okay. Anything else? Yes, Pierre. Sure.
Good morning, everyone. I wanted to let you all know that the Graduation Task Force, that's blinding, received permission to advertise an extended deadline for the petitions to graduate. So we will be getting an announcement out to students that the deadline is now January 26th for spring 2015 graduation. And it also includes students who have 6 or fewer credits for the summer, because we want to give them the opportunity of walking in the May graduation ceremony. So please encourage your students to either come to the Center for Academic Transitions or to meet with their faculty or staff advisor. Thank you. The date of graduation? Yeah, it's Saturday again. But I don't know.
So Saturday, we'll get this information out too, but graduation is going to be on Saturday again, just like it was this past year. So, any other questions? Got a couple announcements. Faculty Senate's going to meet right after this group. Staff Senate is meeting afterwards also? Okay. So after this breaks up in here, I think we're going to split the room in half, if I remember correctly. Is that right? Okay, great. Thank you. Any more questions? Yep. Announcements. Carmen?
Graduation is May 16th. Saturday, May 16th is graduation. Oh, isn't it wonderful? I just want to let everybody know that the library has a new system, so if you see differences in our catalog and accessing our resources, don't be surprised. We hope it's pretty transparent, but we are here to help you with it, and we hope all faculty will bring their students for instruction, because it is a little bit different and a little bit new, and it's awesome. Thank you.
It's awesome. We like that. Anybody else got announcements they'd like to make with the whole group? All right.